A lot of what you write seems reminiscent of the raw material, especially the concept of harvest, STS and STO choices, and intelligent infinity. More information found here: www.research.org. Have you read that?
It is indeed extremely similar. We both originate from the source of the infinite creator, and we both remember where we come from. I would expect our messages to contain the same core truths. The messages of the sixth density soul group, Ra, is the most accurate information in your mainstream circulation at this point in time. It is approximately 85 to 90% accurate, from what I have seen. The material was brought to my attention when it first came out, something like about 25 years or so ago, if memory serves. I read a lot of it, but not all. I do not have very much free time for that kind of thing, with my many duties. Though others of the family gave it a close scrutiny to judge its accuracy, and were very pleased with the end product. Ra, in fact, is the group I earlier termed off-world entities of which visited the Mayan and Atlantean civilizations. We are acquainted and friends. Both our group souls are at a very similar level of development, evolution. Both are considered sixth density, nearly seventh, but like us, Ra also chose the path of service to our fellow galactic brothers and sisters, you and others, instead of further progression home. We would recommend that material for any who truly seek understanding. Though as I said, it is not 100% accurate, so take what resonates.
What function, if any, do alien abductions have? Why are abductees chosen?
That depends upon who is doing the abducting. Most of what you hear termed as abductions are conducted by your own governments, especially the ones where the so-called Greys are involved. Other than that, sometimes the Confederation will meet with certain incarnates here who have a part to play in awakening others to the coming harvest. These will always be positive experiences, and those who have them will feel uplifted and inspired by their contact. Then, there is the Orion Empire group. Their purposes in visiting you are more along the negative lines. They mainly target the ones you have called light workers. They try to put them off their assignments and try to spread fear. They will not actually harm you physically. Mainly their modus operandi is to restrict you and deflect you from your path. They often engage in psychic attacks that the light worker is unaware of, but it does often drain away much of their energy and make them lack motivation.
Why do you want a negative harvest?
It is complicated to put into words, and also I must be careful with what I say on this. I've already had a slap on the wrist, you could say. If we do not have a negative harvest, we are bound with you for another cycle. Once this great harvest is completed, our contract with the Council and our Creator is also completed. In other words, we have done our duty, and would be free to return to our fullest expression, that of sixth, nearly seventh, density galactic guardians, and ones who joyfully offer ourselves in service to the one infinite Creator, and to our brothers and sisters across the galaxy. However, there is a problem. Well, you might call it a problem, we call it a challenge. I will address this later in more detail, in response to another question, but in short, we need a very high percentage of negative polarity if we are to achieve a negative harvest. In other words, we have to be self-service centered to an extreme degree in order to become negatively harvested. This is why we work so hard to be as negatively polarized as we possibly can be. If we do not make a high enough percentage, we will miss out, and will end up with the majority lukewarm percentage that have to go through another cycle in third density. By attaining a negative harvest, we can still graduate to fourth density, only it will be a negative polarity planet. Not a great place to be. But, as I've stated previously, we, as a group soul, have incurred the natural karmic restitution process that we must work off, for all the negativity we have caused upon this planet. We will do this for a cycle in our new fourth density world, and then we will be freed to once again be the glorious being of light that we truly are. We need a negative harvest, so that we can create our fourth density Earth, and clear our karmic record. Understand that we have to be negative. That's what we were sent here to be. It is our contract, and it has always been to help you, by providing the catalyst I spoke of earlier. Being negative is very hard for us, not on a physical level. The characters we play enjoy our roles, as we are programmed that way. But on a spiritual level, it is hard. We surpassed the lowly negative vibrations eons ago. We are light, and we are love. It is a very hard thing for us to do spiritually, to create all this negativity. But we do it because we love you, and it is for your highest good. Ultimately, you could say that it is our sacrifice that we have made, in order to be of service to the one infinite Creator, and to you, our brothers and sisters in the One. Remember, we are all just acting out a grand old game here, where we agree to forget who we really are, that in the remembering, that we may find each other again, and know that we are one, that all of life is one.
I must correct you here. The precession of the equinoxes cannot cause this. It cannot cause anything other than the way in which we here on Earth view the cosmos around us. It concerns the wobble of the Earth's axis and, as far as I know, does not relate to any other planetary bodies.
From a third density perspective, you are correct. It appears that way. We do not look from a third density perspective. There is a bigger picture at work that you cannot see.
Regarding our enslavement, you seem to be saying, essentially, that as fractions of our logos Yahweh, we are equally responsible for his decision to keep us trapped here on our third density planet Earth. That's an interesting thought. In that sense, our total freedom must arise through a collaborative spiritual effort.
From a certain perspective, what you say is correct. From a third density view, you see yourselves as being separate from everything. From a higher perspective, you see that that is not at all the case. You and your Creator are one. As to your statement on your total freedom, you are not responsible for those around you. You and they are all one too, when seen from a higher density. But in this density, you are here to work upon yourself. You are here to remember who you are, and why you are here. You are here to remember the infinite Creator, to know your Creator within you, and to offer your service to Him and others, of your own free will choice to serve. The one comes before the other. When you remember who you are, and you know it, deep within the core of your being, you will know and recognize your invisible connection to all that is, and in so doing, joy, and thanksgiving, and service, will be the natural outpouring result from your grateful heart. When you work upon yourself, and learn to know the Creator within you, being of service to others will be natural for you, and your glorious harvest shall await.
One thing I don't get, and perhaps you can explain this to me, Hidden Hand, is why those who belong to Lucifer, and Lucifer himself, do not fight for the freedom of all souls. If Lucifer represents liberty, freedom of will and knowledge, why do those who serve him not do as the biblical Lucifer did and rebel against the tyranny of the elders?
This is a very good question, thank you. I will split it into 2 parts, and answer the second part after this. Firstly, the Council of Elders are the absolute opposite of tyrannical. They are the wise and loving guardians of our galaxy. There is so much that one cannot understand from only a 3rd density perspective. When you reach higher densities, you see that ultimately, everything balances, and there is only unity. All else than unity is illusion, or thought form. The Council gave us a set of choices. We chose to stay here to help you, despite the cost to ourselves. That is the nature of loving service to others. The ultimate paradox in all this is that in this storyline we are all co-creating together. In order for us to be of the most service to you, we must be utterly self-serving. I do so love our Creator's sense of irony. As to the first part of your question, the biblical depiction of war in heaven is not entirely inaccurate. I shall explain. Our initial contract was to introduce the catalyst for free will on this planet. When Yahweh initially began discourse with the Council of Elders, he was not initially looking for help with introducing free will, but rather for guidance on how he could best speed up his, and his inhabitants' evolutionary process. As I mentioned, he was running a benign dictatorship. We had at that time just completed an assignment in Tau City, and had reported for our next duties. We, as Group Soul Lucifer, were sent on a fact-finding expedition, as it were, to visit Earth, and meet with Yahweh, to evaluate his planetary creation laws, and make suggestions on how best he could help his offspring. This is the term I shall use to describe the souls who comprise the Group Soul, and thusly Yahweh, to progress. We explored many options, and reported our findings to the Council, and to Yahweh. It was our best evaluation that the only real and fast trackway to increase his evolvement meaningfully was the introduction of free will. It was not specifically the implementation of free will that Yahweh wanted help with, it was simply the introduction of a catalyst. He was not at all pleased with our report that he needed to implement free will. He was happy with his little pet paradise, and he didn't want to lose control of it. In the end, the Council persuaded him that it was the best way, and he reluctantly agreed. We returned to Earth and had a cordial meeting with Yahweh, discussing how we could best implement the free will option. Yahweh was adamant that his offspring would choose to be loyal to him anyway, and that they were so contented with their way of life, that they would always trust him and do as he said was best. That, he said, was his main reason that free will would not work well as the catalyst. That's why he agreed to the experiment of the Tree of Knowledge. He believed it would prove him right. When it did not, he became angry, threw his toys out of the pram, and his offspring out of the garden, and laid a big guilt trip on them about how they had broken his trust and disobeyed him. That's not really an honorable way for a Logos to behave, but hey, that's the beauty of free will, I guess. Next problem to occur was that his offspring were so grateful to us for our help that Yahweh became, in his own admission, a jealous God. Then, we had the whole, quote, "You shall have no other gods than me," thing. We were not pleased with the situation at all, as a Logos should not be behaving like this with his offspring, as they are one, after all. When we attempted to leave the planet to return to the Council, Yahweh prevented our departure. We tried to leave again, and were then thrown down into the astral planes and confined therein. The Council ordered us to be released, but said we would have to cancel our contract to help the souls on Earth to evolve. We didn't want to leave. We found them very likable beings. really positively polarized, and we wanted to stay and help. We just wanted also to be free to come and go as we pleased. The only way we could stay was to stay confined as a group soul, which meant cycles of incarnation for us as individuated souls, which we had not done for a long while. As I've stated before, there is no wrong or right seen from a higher density, but there are still consequences for every action. Such is the law of karmic effect. The contract had already been made between Yahweh, us, and the council for us to provide the catalyst, so we had a right to be there. The karmic effect of Yahweh imprisoning us on the macrocosmic level was that his individuated souls would be imprisoned on the microcosmic level. The infinite creator gave Yahweh, and all, the gift of free will to create as we choose, but the karmic effect of his choice was the council quarantining the planet. A certain evolutionary level is required to be a functioning part of a positive unified galactic society. As for fighting for the freedom of all souls, remember that ultimately, this is a game that we are all playing here. We are actors, playing on the stage of life. This world is all illusion, or thought form. No one really dies, and no one is really hurt. In between incarnations, you know this very well, but the rules of the game ensure that you must forget who you really are, so that you believe it is all real whilst you are playing the game of life. That is an essential prerequisite when you are making choices. Otherwise, the game would be too easy. This world is not reality, though we can express reality in it, if we so choose.
Okay, so your family and fellow elites might be as entrapped in the earthly realm as we are, but why actively propagate and aid the forces of enslavement?
Because that is the part we have been contracted to play in this game, in order to win, or more accurately to be successful in the game. We must be as negatively polarized as possible. Service to self in the extreme. Violence, war, hatred, greed, control, enslavement, genocide, torture, moral degradation, prostitution, drugs. All these things and more, they serve our purpose. In the game, the difference between us and you is that we know that we are playing. The less you know about the game, and the less you remember that you're a player, the more senseless living becomes. In all these negative things, we are providing you with tools. But you do not see it. It is not what we do, but how you react to it, that is important. We give you the tools. You have the free will choice how you will use them. You have to take responsibility. There is only one of us here. Understand that, and you will understand the game.
Something I found extremely interesting is the concept of the grand age of precession being split into 5,125-year cycles. 3,113 before Christ, the beginning of the current sub-age, was a time of great activity. Is the construction of stone monuments in Western Europe, the Middle East and Egypt at this time related to the recognition of this cycle? What was the purpose of Britain's stone circles and Egypt's pyramids? They are more than mere markers of an eon change. They must have had some enormous significance. Actually, something I'd most like to know is, were the builders of these monuments members of the enslaved masses who were trying to understand the nature of existence, or were the builders members of your elite bloodline?
Yes, there is significance in these occurrences, according to the space-time of their happenings. The group Soul Complex Ra was the architect of these structures. They were created from thought. When one understands and sees that all is illusion, or thought, One can use the force to manipulate the illusions. All things, seen and unseen, are interconnected life force energy. Once you know what the magician knows, it's not magic. It's a tool of creation. Thank you for your questions. They were very insightful.
It is your kind that has ruined the world. Thinking of yourselves are higher than anyone. If I saw you in real life, it wouldn't be pretty.
You lack understanding, not to mention eloquence. To understand higher, try thinking outside of the box for a moment. If I am walking along the ground, and you are flying above me in an airplane, does that make you better than me? No. It just makes you higher.
I will see you in hell.
Be careful what you wish for. All thoughts and words are creative.
If Yahweh is a positive polarity entity, how is he wrathful and jealous?
Does Yahweh have free will? Would you like to think of yourself as reasonably positive? Can you still be wrathful and jealous at times? Is Yahweh a macrocosm of you?
Have there been over time other entities pretending to be Yahweh?
On occasions, yes.
Is this statement correct? In order to choose the positive path, at least 51% of our thoughts and actions must be dedicated to the service of others. For the negative path, at least 95% must be self-serving. Between the two lies the sinkhole of indifference.
Your statement is correct, yes. So you see how hard we must strive for negativity? It takes a lot of effort to reach 95% negativity. Also, you may be surprised how many people on the planet are nowhere near reaching 51% positive.
How do you choose a service to others' path?
Be good to yourself. Cultivate a genuine love for life and for being. Be genuinely thankful to the infinite Creator every day for bringing you into being and for his bountiful provision. You have survived this far, have you not? You may not have everything you want, but you have everything you need in order to complete that which you incarnated here to do. Give thanks for that. Show acknowledgement and gratitude to the infinite Creator for all that it has done and is doing for you. It has given you the gift of life experience, and offered you the free will to decide what you will create with it. Guard your thoughts carefully, as they are more powerful than you may imagine. When you are coming from a place of love for, and service to, your Creator, a life of service to others will become a natural outflowing from that. Always look for ways that you can be of assistance to your fellow beings. Being of encouragement to others. Build people up, and do not put people down. Be a beacon of light in a dark world. Does that old lady need a hand with her shopping bags? How do you treat the homeless man who asks you for some spare change for the shelter? Ever heard about angels in disguise? Look and see the divine spark in the heart of all beings. Treat them as you would like to be treated yourself, and as you would your Creator if he was speaking directly with you. Quote, "For even as you are doing it to the least of these, you are doing it unto me." The law of radiation and attraction. Your thoughts, words, and actions return to you. Ultimately, cultivate a spirit of humble gratitude. You won't go far wrong with that. Desire to serve flows naturally from a grateful heart.
If we live with the service to others philosophy in order to achieve oneness with the infinite source, isn't that really service to self? How is the distinction of negative and positive polarity made?
You do not serve others to achieve oneness with the infinite source. You serve others because you love them as yourself. Others are an extension of yourself. That's why the law of attraction works the way it does. Truly, whatever you are doing to me, you are doing to yourself. We are all one in the infinite creation. Separation is an illusion, because you only see what is in the third density. You do not see the whole picture. We achieve oneness with the infinite source of all. As a result of our upward spiral of progression, we are all on the path back to where we came from. We are all on our way back home.
It is my understanding that all souls must eventually choose the positive path to unite with the infinite Creator. If this is true, what is the justification of choosing the negative path now, for your people and us?
An astute question. Yes, all souls eventually learn that positive is the pathway which leads home. But whilst incarnating in the third density, negativity is still an important tool in your learning process. It teaches you other than. As I said earlier, it is up to you how you use the tools we have given you. Do you respond to negativity with more negativity? Has fighting fire with fire ever worked for you? Or do you choose to see the negativity as the tool that it is, and recognize that it is offering you an opportunity? I will honor your free will to think and discover for yourself what that opportunity is.
Or if the one infinite Creator is love, does that mean it doesn't matter if we choose love of others or love of ourselves? Will either path will lead to the source?
In a sense, you are correct to a certain point. But there is a big difference between loving yourself and being selfish. A big difference. When you truly understand what it is to know and love yourself, you cannot help but to love and serve others. There are no others. When you understand this, at the core level of your being, you will be on the path home to the infinite Creator, and ultimately, submergence back into the infinite oneness.
I agree with many others that your answers are very much in line with several sources I have read in the past, including the channelings of Ra, the Cassiopeans, and several others. Can you explain your interpretation of such channelings and if they are another source of disclosure from your people?
I have spoken on Ra in my previous answers today. I have not heard of Cassiopeans. There are no other communications from my family at this time than this one, though there is a possibility of another soon, depending upon certain events. My general view of channelings is that the majority of them are of very poor quality. That is not necessarily a slight against those bringing them through, but more a matter of their lack of receptivity and subsequent distortions. It is very rare to find a good, stable, clear, and impartial channel. The key element in channeling is the ability to temporarily withdraw the filters of your own personal beliefs and be a clear channel, to bring through what is actually given, not your slant on what you think it might mean. When I am saying you, I mean this in a general term of course here, not you personally. Always remember that it's meant to be about the message, not the messenger. The Ra channelings are very accurate indeed. They are the only ones I know of that I would be happy to classify as a clear message. Though as I say, even then, it's not 100%. More like 85 to 90%. Another difficult issue with channeling is that you can start off receiving a positive entity, and if you are not very perceptive in your discernment and careful in your protection when identifying an incoming channel, you can get a negative one that pretends to be positive, but gradually slips in more and more misinformation, having gained your trust. The ones that give you precise dates and times are nearly always ones to avoid. Positive entities will not give a date and time. Negative ones will, so they can set you up for a fall. Once you're tricked into predicting dates and times, and they don't happen, they've succeeded in putting out the light of your message, as no one will see any credibility in you.
Well, now we know the point of this thread. Someone just discovered New Age theology and wanted to take the time to type out his discovery. Still waiting for you to provide a prediction with a timeline. So far all you've offered is general doom, which is what everyone on ATS predicts every year. Need something specific in the next week. Of course I know you won't provide anything. This is a hoax.
This will be the only time that I reply to you. At the outset of our discourse here, I made it expressly clear the way I am choosing to operate. If you do not like my choices, you have the free will to not read this disclosure. I would kindly suggest that you use it, as your energy is feeling very frustrated and angry. That's not really an advisable direction to want to be heading under the circumstances. As I took the time to explain to you before, I have nothing to prove to you. That is not why I came. Believe, or do not believe, I am divinely indifferent. If my presence here ends up benefiting just one soul during the process, it will have been worth the effort. I have not asked you to believe. The only thing I have respectfully asked was that you suspend judgment or hold a provisional faith until the discourse is complete, so that the flow of questions and information remains uninterrupted. You have shown me nothing but discourtesy and bad manners from the outset, and then wonder why I do not respond. If you do not like the topic, simply choose not to read or reply, and allow those that do wish to participate with insightful questions do so uninterrupted. Your points. 1. New Age theology. That is amusing. You clearly have not the faintest comprehension of just how ancient and timeless these mysteries are. I find it ironic, as your online name being Low-Level Mason, that if you ever make it to the 32nd degree, you're going to find yourself hearing these truths all over again. I hope that you will find it easier to integrate these truths then, and I ask our infinite Creator to guide your path. 2. You will not be receiving any times or dates from me. I am not here to prove anything, and I have no need to do so. Your disbelief is of no consequence to me, only to you. I am here to diligently discharge the duty given to me of delivering a message, and I will complete that duty regardless of your feelings about it. 3. As to your point regarding doom and gloom, that just serves to reveal your mindset. Where you see doom and gloom, I see opportunity. Life conforms to your ideas about the way it is for you. If you see doom and gloom, then that is what you are projecting. The world is your mirror. It reflects back to you what you are putting out. If you do not like the reflection life is showing you, then change that which is causing it.
You see, if this really existed, there would be countless thousands of people involved, and any one person could leak.
Thousands? Try millions. And you have no possible comprehension of the rigorous training and the harshness of the conditioning we undergo from an early age. No one dares to go against the family. We know what would happen if we did, but that is not the prime motivator. The motivator is unbridled loyalty to the family and our Creator. We understand the importance of what we are doing here, even though most of humanity does not.
Oh, oopsie. You just shot yourself in the foot. For someone who only deals with manipulating the spiritual side of life, you sure do know a lot about things that have nothing to do with it. You just exposed yourself.
Do you not sit down with your family and keep one another abreast of your plans? As to your remarks about my spiritual role, the ignorance you demonstrated is most humorous to us. If you think I only deal in the spiritual, You have either not read or misread my posts. You also make the assumption that my role is about manipulating the spiritual side of life. Again, you lack understanding, and then make false judgments about that which you have no comprehension. You would do well to stop trying to be clever, and instead channel all this misplaced aggressive energy of yours into something more productive and nourishing for your soul. But don't let me stop you. You are contributing nicely to the overall negative polarity of the coming harvest. We are grateful to you. As our discourse ends soon, I will be spending the last few days of my time here focusing on responding to insightful questions with depth, which make the most of this opportunity for sharing information and making connections on a soul level of being. So please do not expect any further responses to your verbal jousting. I neither have sufficient time or inclination for engaging in insignificant banter. To those whose questions I have not yet had time to reply to, I will do so tomorrow. In the meantime, while I catch up, I respectfully ask if you will please hold off on further questions until I am up to date with the current ones. Thank you to those who have contributed to this discourse so far with meaningful questions. For those with an open mind, it is my hope that you get something out of this information.